Hi, it's Sheiley from Sheepishly Made in MCS Livestock. Thank you for joining me for the baby chick felting tutorial. So here's the wool we'll be using. We have some coral wool, white, yellow, red, and black, and our felting needles. I'll be using my multi-needle tool. If you're using my kit, you should have a template as well. The chicks I'm making are pretty small to go with the chicken that I felted. You can also find that tutorial on my page. So to start, we're going to make the main body with the core wool. Your core wool is going to be like an off-white or the largest amount of white in your kit. So you want to roll it up really tightly, and using your template you can kind of gauge the size. We're making a tall chick today. And just start by felting over the entire surface of the core wool. Now, if you're brand new to felting, it might be easier to make your project a little bigger. If you're using the kit, the smaller you make the chicks, the more chicks you'll be able to make. But if you want to make one bigger one, you can do that as well. So we're making like an oblong shape here. And to start to differentiate the head from the main part of the body, you want to pick a spot about 2/3 up from the bottom, and that's where the neck's going to be. So what you want to do is felt more in that portion, about that 2/3 mark. And if you felt more in that area, it will become skinnier than the rest of the body. You can also add a little bit of wool to the bottom to make the bottom a little bit bigger. But you want to remember with needle felting, where you want your shape to go, that's where you want to felt. So if you want to make one end smaller than the other, you need to felt on that end more than the other. And make sure you felt on the bottom of your chick. Felt it a little bit more flat so you can stand it up. You want to make sure you can still stand up your chick throughout the process of felting it, especially after you add the yellow color to the body as well. So you can see where that 2/3 mark is. You can see kind of where the neck is, and that's where I felted it more. So now you can take your yellow wool and we'll wrap it around tightly and then felt that wool down. You want to use a little bit at a time. Less is more with adding color. And you just want to keep felting till it's completely flat. And use just enough yellow so you can't see the white underneath. And you just want the yellow to be flat against your core wool. You don't want it to be fuzzy all over. So I'm working on that bottom again, make sure it's still flat and you can stand your chick up. Sometimes adding the color to your coral wool can be the longest process. And when you're wrapping the color around, you always want to wrap in the same direction so the fibers are all pointing the same way. Now to make the beak, I'm taking a little bit of this orangish color wool. I'm just wrapping it really tightly, kind of in a small little cylinder. And then we're going to form it into a triangle shape. It's hard to work with these little pieces, so just take your time. And you can also use another felting needle to hold it down instead of your fingers when working with these small pieces. So to make the beak, you want to felt at the tip more than the base. To make the tip smaller than the base of the beak. And if you want to make it a little bit bigger, then you can take a pair of scissors and cut it down to size. Sometimes that's easier instead of trying to make a little tiny piece. Make it a little bit bigger and then just cut off what you need. So then we're going to felt through the base of the beak and into the body. And just make sure when you're felting it on that you only felt to the center of that core of the body and not all the way through and out the back. Now for the eyes, it's going to be real simple. We're going to take little pieces of black and ball them up in our fingers and then just felt them a little bit higher than the beak into the side. Just a little bit of black. And then we're going to take a tiny piece of white here and felt it in the upper corners of each eye. This will give kind of a reflection color. Should be real small so you can just see it. And then we're going to use some of our red wool here to make a little comb for our chick. So you just want to roll up a little bit of red wool into a cylinder. And then we're just going to felt it flat first. Should just be a small piece. If you're using the template, maybe like a 1/2 inch long. And the shape at first isn't very important because then we're going to felt it onto the chick. So you want to felt both ends down first, right on the top center of the head. And then to make the comb where it's kind of bumpy looking, you can felt down in 2 places in the middle to make it look like it has 3 bumps. Now we're going to make little bitty wings for our chick. So you want to felt these pieces flat. So they're going to be teardrop shaped. And we can felt them flat first, maybe like 1/8 of an inch thick. If you felt in from the sides, hold it in between your fingers, the flat parts in between your fingers, and then felt in from the edge. That'll help tidy up your edges as well. And check for size. They don't have to be that big. And then you want to make a second one. The first, I kind of roll it up into the shape I want and then felt it flat onto your mat. And just felt gently. It's going to stick to your mat a little bit at first, but you don't want to be shoving your needle way far into your mat. And make sure you have your wings about the same size. And then you can felt them onto your chick. So you just want to hold it on, and then I just felted through kind of the edges, that front edge especially. And you want to felt it just enough so it's nice and snug and it won't come off when you pull it. You don't want to felt it super flat. You want it to be 3-dimensional. Make sure it can still stand up. And if you need to felt the bottom, felt it a little bit flatter if it's not standing up correctly. And that's our little chick, and our hen to go with it too. So you can make your chick in all shapes and sizes. I've also made a little round one as well. So if you have any questions, please comment on the video, and happy felting!